Sequels are made for just one simple thing: improve on the original's formula. And there are some great examples of video game sequels, but today we're gonna count down the top 10 worst video game sequels. First up is Tomb Raider: Angel of Darkness. I love the Tomb Raider franchise and you all know that. And the last game, we went around the globe seeing the evolution of Lara Croft. And in this game, we got a weird stealth action game in which you also play as another character and there's a lot of drama and there's little to no tomb raiding and the controls are crappy. The graphics are nice, but it actually takes away a lot of things that we all enjoyed from the Tomb Raider games. And thankfully, we later got Tomb Raider Legend, which improved the franchise once again. But this one is just lifeless and way too dark, way too dark. Next up is Duke Nukem Forever. A game 14 years in the making, and it turned out pretty damn bad. The humor was horrible. The mechanics were really generic, the shooting wasn't all that fun, and the graphics were really glitchy and outdated. And when you play a Duke Nukem game, you want to get the best of Duke. And here I was just almost tired of being in this game. It felt like a game that no one actually wanted to make, because if you see the earlier trailers for the 2002-2003, they were amazing, they're pretty damn great. I wanna play that game, not this shitty one. Next up is Silent Hill Homecoming. This is the perfect example of taking a franchise that focuses on the psychological horror and terror and then takes all of that away for gore and action-oriented gameplay, which is really bad. And Silent Hill Homecoming is easily the worst one in the franchise if you exclude the PS Vita one, because it takes away a lot of good elements of the franchise. And thankfully later we got Silent Hill Downpour, which isn't fantastic, but at least focuses a lot more on the exploration. There are also some side quests there, some interesting mechanics, but this one felt really boring and really incoherent, and the story was really bad. Next up is probably one of the worst games of all time, and it's Sonic the Hedgehog, also known as Sonic 06. A game that focused on a hedgehog and his friends trying to save little animals. Now is about a princess with these weird cutscenes that remind me of a Final Fantasy game. And then they kiss each other and you have to get the Chaos Emeralds, go back in time, then go into the future and then go back again, and it's a complete mindfuck, and the game is one of the glitchiest ones you will ever play easily. I don't think there's a single playthrough of someone that doesn't encounter a game-breaking glitch, and that's just a statement of how bad this game is. Next up is another beloved franchise that slowly turned really bad, and it's this year's Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5. A game that basically no one wanted. A game rushed. A game that didn't get a lot of publicity from basically anyone. And a game that is complete and utter garbage. With horrible level designs, really mediocre soundtrack, which is something that has to be really important in a Tony Hawk game, and a multiplayer only experience where you share the playground with other players and then you can do some of the activities together. That's stupid, and I really hope that they leave this franchise alone, or if they get a new developer, because these guys are destroying it. Next up is Star Wars: The Force Unleashed 2, because the first one was such a really interesting game with really interesting gameplay, beautiful graphics, and a really engrossing story. The second one is almost half as long, it's full of technical issues, the story is boring and uninteresting, the gameplay is dumbed down and it's really disappointing, and I don't want to play it more times like I actually did with the original one. This game I played it twice and that's more than enough. Next up is Bomberman Act Zero. Now, I'm not the biggest Bomberman fan, but it's a really fun game to play with your friends, just with these little cute robots going around in this little arena and blowing everything up and trying to win. And then we got this really bad game with really weird graphics, really bad controls, really horrible soundtrack, and pretty much everything else really horrible. Really horrible. Next up is an entry that I had to put on this list, even though it hurts me a little bit, but it's Resident Evil 6. Because this is basically the people's choice. It's what you guys hate a lot, and it's Resident Evil 6. I personally really enjoy the game, but it's easily one of the worst sequels I've ever played. Most of the enemies feel like bullet sponges, and the story is a mindfuck. And they did improve the gunplay, but in the end you still don't have enough ammunition to kill every single enemy in a room. But then you're forced to kill every single enemy in a room, and the objectives are really the same ones. Go from A to B, kill some enemies, come from B to C, find a key, go from C to D, kill some enemies, and there's a boss fight here and there. So it's a really disappointing sequel. Even though I do like the game, it's a really bad sequel. Now, it's time for probably the most controversial entry in this list. It's Zelda 2, The Adventures of Link. Take the classic Legend of Zelda for the NES. The top-down graphics, going around the dungeon, it's a fun game. And then put it in 2D, side-scrolling. Yeah, no, it's not all that great, and it's not as good as it might sound. And then you also take the fact that the controls are a bit weird, the hitboxes are really bad, and the game is really frustrating. It's not a challenging game, it's a frustrating one. And I'm really surprised that a lot of people actually do consider it a really good game, because in my opinion, compared to, I don't know, Super Mario Bros. 2, this is a worse sequel. This is a worse sequel, and thankfully they went back to the older formula. Then we got A Link to the Past, then Ocarina of Time, and the franchise got back up on its feet again. But this one is a really bad game. And finally, probably the most obvious choice, it's a Call of Duty game, and I had to choose between some of the ones after Black Ops 1, and it's pretty easy. Call of Duty Ghosts. It's a horrible campaign, really short and with a really horrible story, some really awful glitches, especially on PC, crappy multiplayer that no one else plays again, and overall a bad quality to the entire game. It's not fun, and it's easily the worst Call of Duty game you will ever play. So, I don't know what happened, but at least some of the newer ones, they have some redeeming qualities to them. Call of Duty Ghosts, not a single one. So guys, these are my top 10 worst video game sequels that I've ever played. But tell me in the comments below the sequels that you hate the most. Tell me if you agree with my list or not. There are probably some games that I actually really love. For example, a lot of people hate Max Payne 3 and I personally love it. So tell me your favorite or least favorite video game sequels in the comments below. Thanks for watching guys, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.